Wassail. So this is higher dimensional beings reading to Pleiadians, and the sun came out, and so I turned all the lights off so that we could see better, and I put the camera on, and then it got really dark and you couldn't see anything, and it's pouring with rain again. The funny part of it is that this reading with the Pleiadians has got a lot to do with the energy of the sun and solar flares. And this, if it represented the sun, this is where the solar flare AR2790, the current one in the southern hemisphere, is kind of popping. It did the strongest one, solar flare of 3 years, on the 29th of November, sending a pulse not directly at Earth with a coronal mass ejection, but just yesterday it did a C-class one, not an M-class one. The M-class one was, on the 29th, was 4.4 on the measurement, and this one was much smaller in the C-class, but this one did hit, the coronal mass ejection did hit the Earth over South America and took out very low frequency radio waves briefly. So I'm hopefully gonna get some information about solar flares, because I've been getting a lot of information on and off all year about solar flares. I don't know when they're happening. There's a sense that it could kind of coincide with the rebirth of the sun at midnight, or from the 24th of December to the 25th, because also at that point there's a moon conjunct Gaia, Uranus, that takes place after the moon has gone square with Saturn and Jupiter, causing a kind of discomfort to kind of scramble their frequencies so that this new energy can come in. But I don't know, you know, I'm not a higher dimensional being that can tell you that that's exactly what will be happening. So let's go with this spread. I've laid out the cards, because what I do is sometimes when I get messages, I do a snapshot audio file of the reading if I think they're very important. And so I've laid the cards, and like yesterday's reading, we'll read the cards and we'll add tarot. This card came out to represent the Pleiadians. The Time Master is dealing with, actually let's leave him, let's ask cards what he's dealing with, but it's representing the Pleiadians. So we're beginning with the first 3 cards, which is Vision Quest, the Seer, and the Corn. This is talking about this energy that the Pleiadians are bringing in to try and bring about a new purposeful vision quest of understanding our abundant place on the earth. That bloody fly has not been anywhere near me for the last couple of hours, and now I've started the reading, it's just buzzed in behind the cards right in my face. So this is talking about consciousness. So the Pleiadians are dealing with divine feminine frequency and how that works. Here's the fly, just here. It's talking about how we wire our consciousness into the new 13 frequency, because the card of 13 is here to talk about things. So let's ask the tarot. I'm using the Muse tarot again. I've been shuffling, shifting them, and putting the energy of the Pleiadians into these cards to assist this reading. So can we please have some clarifying frequencies for the Vision Quest, the Seer, and the Corn? The Corn is a card of abundance. We've got a block of cards that have turned over and gone in up the other way, but we have two cards. Okay, so they're dealing with an energetic, emotional portal. Look, it's lovely to have card 20 here, bringing us to the close of 2020. Sorry, my brain is now being called to talk about this being on the 30th is the 13th full moon of this year, 2020. So, this is a card of joy, happiness, celebration, but the energy that I'm getting from this card is very much about the water, the structure of water that was mentioned in the last reading, and how that's kind of, as this great conjunction happens and we get the birth of this new atomic structure, molecular structure, subatomic movement of particles and electrons around the molecules in water, that's what's going to help with this emotional, and water is emotions, it's the Akashic Records, how this frequency will unfold on the 24th, 25th, as we go into midnight, as the sun is reborn. And that's why this is so relevant to the energy of the sun, this reading. And there are lots of sunspots almost on the cards that we will see as we go through. So we have got the solar flare card on another one. 3 of them. I knew that. Look, I don't know how large or small these solar flares are going to be, but AR2790, and as I said, 2799, it's a 99, it's a higher dimensional frequency, 9th dimensional energy that's coming in to make a transformation, which I will talk about with the next set of cards, but let's stick with where we are. We've got this notion of bursts of coronal mass ejections coming, but at the moment the energy of those are being pulled down through to affect our consciousness. I'm not necessarily saying at the moment that it's going to affect the earth itself. Maybe that message will come later, but we very much need to have a kind of focus on the sun, especially as the luminous warrior has come out representing the sun here, and this is the energy of the solar eclipse. So it could be that there's a series of them coming, 3 at least at the moment, is what I'm seeing in the cards. And she's got this burst of energy. It's like this, the coronal mass ejections, the Pleiadians are saying, are to set a cosmic rhythm into the heart of the earth that the Orions are working to bring the frequency change to. And that's coming with the Queen of Materials. It's like that's this portal, and that's the energy of the Divine Feminine reaching down to the earth, coming through the portal on the 24th, 25th. So ignore the notion of Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. try and think of this particular energy frequency right now as referring back to the cosmic cycle of a December solstice and the sun going away or slowing to its slowest point before it's reborn at midnight going into the 25th. Okay, so, oh, and there it is being reborn on the 25th. The Holy Mountain. So the next two cards, the Middle Earth and Holy Mountain, Middle World. The energy of these cards is this, and more I am getting the sense of some kind of energetic pulse. I'm not saying it's a solar flare at midnight, but if it is, well, amazing. But there's a pulse that comes down because there's a lineup like a knife of Gaia, Uranus, followed by Mars, which is the molecules of our bodies. Okay. And then the moon, and then the earth. And their frequency in terms of sound healing, and when you look at the cosmos heliocentrically, it's like a blade that cuts through, and I'm being given that sense that we are all like an active antenna. That's really interesting. Maybe that will come out a bit more. So, Middle World and Holy Mountain is about bursting. Actually, I don't need that yet. I haven't talked about it properly. I'm being diverted so much. Middle World is 36. This is the Tesla trap frequency of the old subatomic particle frequencies, electrons. I'm not a physicist. And how this pulse, whatever this energy is, it bursts the skin of the 12 frequency distortion to bring about a new sun energy on the 25th. And that's, I mean, it's like, I want to say it's like an earthquake, but that's not what I mean. I don't mean there's going to be huge traumatic moments. It's more like, if you imagine like M theory as opposed to string theory, where there's a membrane of the Yggdrasil between every single molecule everywhere, it's more like this pulse is coming through us as human antennae, and it's wherever we are, it's shifting the frequency of the membrane that exists within everything. It's a new Yggdrasil tree frequency. And actually, I might have to add another reading I did with the Odin cards that was all about that, but I hadn't planned to do that. We'll see. So let's go to Tarot for Middle World and the Holy Mountain. Middle World and the Holy Mountain. That one's turned. Okay. We have the... Do you know... I've been asking questions about solar flares, the energy of the sun, for months and getting no information. And now it's just sending me information about like an endless series of divine sparks coming down. There's like a solar storm raging. Look, we're safe. That's, you know, but this really is, this is the Muse of Inspiration. This is the King of Wands frequency. And the moon is part of this activation code. it's about bringing us, our spiritual inheritance, but bringing us all into that notion, this shooting down of this energy that's to do with Gaia, Uranus, the moon, on the 25th, is bringing us into, it's coming later, the card, but into a standstill for this new earth frequency. And with this card came this beautiful 7 of inspiration. So here we've got 7, 7, because obviously 25 is a 7. Again, this sense of, it's almost, I want to say like an X-ray. It's not a frequency that we see as such, but it's passing through us all. And it's beginning, as I say, it's I've never had this energy sense before of membrane being in some way transformed. And this is the rune of Adal, spiritual inheritance. This shape that rises up is the rune of Adal. But this really is new frequency pulsing through everybody. Now, rather oddly, the next 3 cards, but the next 2 that came out, the Time Master fell out with them originally, but it was the only one face up. The other 3 fell face down, and when I turned them over, we had 2112. And we also had the card of the curse, 14. Now, this is talking about the gathering of, like a clearance energy, the gathering together of all the old energy frequencies that as we once knew the world and life, bringing them all together and kind of cleaning them all up, because that's what next year's about, is about cleaning up our consciousness frequency, which then in turn cleans up our molecules. But the molecule part is, I think, the next reading, but my brain's truly very mashed at the moment because there's so much information starting to come down now about what's going on. So here we have the first reference to the sacral, but also this sense of the eclipse motion, Saturn and Jupiter, but we've also here, we've got 2 sunspots being referenced. Now, we're clearing away the energy of 12 frequency. We're gathering all of that 12 frequency up to bring ourselves to 13 frequency, which does come, as I said, later with these 2 cards, which is Luminous Warrior, again, sacral, gathering of the seat of our soul, being cleansed to take this new frequency that's opening with this X-rays almost, as I said earlier. But this card has been, the energy of it was to be starved of oxygen, but not us, not the world, but more the powers that have been controlling us being starved of oxygen. And that's what first triggered the notion of a solar flare within this reading from the Pleiadians coming in to kind of temporarily remove communication globally. But I don't know how true or absolute that is. It could be temporary glitches, but the energy of the card has been giving me this taking authority and starving them of their oxygen with which they control us, which is our attention. Their oxygen is our attention and their ability to manipulate us. And there's something that came through in this card, but I don't know whether that's something that might happen on the solar eclipse of the Luminous Warrior, whether it's something that happens when we reach the Great Conjunction of 2012, whether it's something that comes as the sun is reborn on Christmas Day. I don't know. I'm just saying that the cards are giving me this energy of the removal of oxygen of media governments. That's the energy, and I don't know how that works out. Maybe the cards will tell us a bit more. There's a lot of the sense of, I've had a lot of energy frequencies coming in which is about the need for surprises. So I don't know that we're being given all the information. I mean, I'm amazed at the information we are being given since yesterday, because there's so many more readings that they've already started to push towards me. So this is interesting. This has got something to do with Christmas Eve, 24th. Oh, okay. There's two, so we have 2 and 4. That's why I'm getting that frequency, but it actually begins with 4. Emperor energy. This is the emotional masculine frequency, rewiring, pruning, the membrane. I'm being drawn back to this rocky earth grid frequency that somehow passes through us and into the earth and then radiates back out through us. It's a new frequency, and then we have the sense of a brand new vision. Again, another sunspot creating a whiteout is what I want to say. But between those two cards is this incredible, beautiful wish card of the 9 of Emotions. So I need to know something about that. Can you please give me a bit of clarification on why the 9 of Emotions are sitting in between? It's like being in this energy, this standstill. There's something, I really am getting the sense that there's something, that some kind of sacral focused energy and some kind of whiteout, like a pressing a giant reset button somehow. But I don't know whether that just means absolutely everyone globally or just the people tuned in, because there's something invisible. So maybe this is an energy that's coming that will be felt. In the last thing I sang that song, Can You Feel It? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? But that's almost what this energy is. It's like, it might be that this is the start of a movement to starve media and governments of oxygen, and that it's merely like lighting the touch paper on something, and then we've all got to blow on the flames and kind of bring that energy into greater being. So, you know, but there's a definite sense that if you've done shadow work, you're going to feel this. And it is a real sense of freedom, the sacral, understanding your new energetic Yggdrasil frequency. This is like membrane frequency, and how that turns your vision upside down. So it could be a deeply personal pulse that goes through everybody, but only certain people are in enough of a standstill and enough of a love frequency to feel it. So Let's just see. I mean, the thing to remember is that we're in control of our own reality and our own futures at the moment, because there's a honeycomb of realities and we each have an individual future reality pathway, this map that I talked about in the last one. If you want to believe that this is a massive global moment that happens to everyone, that's the frequency you will move towards. If you want to believe that it's something individual and gentle, then it will be just you that feels that. We are creating at the moment with this particular cosmic melody chord that's holding over this end of 2020. It's how you gather the energies around you. So let's just ask her about this. 9 of emotions, can we have a clarifier or 7? So we have an 11, but what we have is the 5 of inspiration, which is passing through a whole series of ages, from when you were first coming down into the earth, passing through shadows, passing through poor reflections, seeing new reflections, feeling shame, feeling joy, feeling sexual, and stepping into a new version of you. And this is almost a transference of the frequency from 12 to 13. And again, it's talking about, as this card did in the last reading, shadows and lights. So, and that, in between those two cards, is the Ace of Emotions. So this new energy, this X-ray that comes down, this wish for an emotional reset, 9 cups, 1 more cup, but the most powerful of all cups, regenerative, coming up, giving you 10, completion, a new beginning. Really, really beautiful energy, and a kind of a cosmic whiteout, either on an individual level or on a global level, depending on the reality you want to push towards. So at that point, after the curse oxygen frequency, I asked about solar flares, and that was when I got the luminous warrior and the crow. This crow is referencing the first new moon of 2021, which is on the 13th of the 1st. And this is very much lining up, not just solar eclipse, but Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto frequency. It's just, and again, this always for some reason says Pluto on here. I've not looked into what the cosmos is up to really next year, other than having observed that the 2 solar eclipses next year are over both the South Pole and then the North Pole, which is fascinating in itself. So this, it's like the energy that came from this card was that we are the sun, we are the light, and that's that energy of us becoming some kind of energetic antennae to change things. So, Luminous Warrior and the Crow, please. The Luminous Warrior and the Crow, there's 1. Luminous Warrior and the Crow. Just 1. This card came up in the last reading as well. I think that all of the higher dimensional beings are trying to make us understand that they're working with us. We're being carried by higher dimensional beings, by our spirit team, towards the safety of a brighter future. But again, I'm gonna have to keep saying it. You have to do the shadow work. You have to walk your own shadows to birth your luminous warrior. Look, your luminous warrior doesn't have to be fully birthed on the 14th or the 21st at the Great Conjunction, or whatever might happen with this pulse from the 24th to the 25th. You can do it at any point next year. It's just, it's better to do it sooner, because you will feel the comfort of love. That's the energy that's going to start really rising up from inside the earth wanting to hold and embrace and love you. So the final two cards, aside from the Time Master, which we'll look at, are the Earth Keeper and the Standstill. Oh, here we go. There is a mirroring frequency to do with this pulse, 2552. Didn't notice that before. So, we're each seeking the energy of this pulse, this holy mountain, to be an antenna, but it will pass through everybody. But whether you're awake to it, I don't mean physically awake, but maybe that is what you're meant to be. Maybe you will need to be awake at the point that, I don't know whether to say at midnight on the 25th, as the 25th starts, Greenwich Mean Time UTC, or whether it just matters to wherever you are in the country or in the world, wherever your timescale is. But it's something to do with the movement from the 24th to the 25th. Maybe you need to look up the official time, which I don't know, that we say the sun is being reborn after the December solstice. So this is about the new frequency of the earth with this loving energy. The earth is totally transformed, but this Earth Keeper frequency, again, it's got the earth, the moon, and it's got a sense of two planetary bodies running around it. One of them being Pluto, because the Plutonian energy is going to become very, very powerful in the next 2 or 3 years, as it shifts towards changing houses. And obviously there's the Pluto return that's coming for North America, but it's also coming for okay, so they're saying that it's also coming for the Industrial Revolution and for capitalism. There's a kind of reckoning on its way. But so the Earth, again, around the 25th, is asking you to reflect on what has been and what might be. So the Standstill was in the card yesterday. There were a lot of cards that have turned up. Divine Detours, the Coyote turns up. Oh, that's the other thing they wanted me to talk about with this Great Conjunction energy, is that the eyes of all of these beings, cards, are imploring you to get with the program. Okay, so let's go to the Earth Keeper and the Standstill. The Earth Keeper and the Standstill. So we have Hierophantrix. This is the new energy frequency of 2021. It's already been online since the last solar eclipse, but we haven't been able to fully activate it within ourselves because we haven't had the self-love energy fully online. Some people have been ahead of things because some people can skip onto energies. That's just their map is slightly different, and there's nothing right or wrong about any of it. But this is about sitting in the energy of the earth grid, as a divine feminine, divine masculine, balanced entity, that this magician card is bringing down as our antennae. Once we've connected that in and it radiates back out, we become a more balanced being. We become inspiration, 6 of inspiration, that victorious energy. Okay, and now this is again giving me a whole series of sunspots coming next year. There's over a dozen, and it's healing. That's the important part. It's healing, and it's bringing us to 6 of materials. We've got 6 here. This has got to do with becoming in balance, but also this is talking about the energy of higher frequency connection with others, which makes our hearts and our souls and our energies burst forth with this spiritual inheritance frequency. But I'm also picking up the energy frequency. I'm just looking around to see if they're telling me that it's there somewhere, but I don't recall it. Oh, it's there. I haven't talked about this energy for a long time, the 666 energy. But the 666 energy frequency is about learning to respect all other creatures, and particularly to think about how we farm. Look, the other day, and that's this 6, and this energy of love. I was reading an article on how there's about 1.5 million wild salmon left in the Atlantic, 30% of them around Norway, and how they're creating inland artificial farms to grow salmon for us to consume. And these salmon, there's a problem because you get a kind of weird tick that grows, like it can't resist because there's such a concentration of them. But in order to do the inland ones away from the natural temperatures of the sea, they are having to create a much larger carbon footprint to create the right temperatures for the salmon to spawn freshwater bits, then saltwater bits. And part of it is that they fear with global warming that salmon will just die out. But to me, it seems a bit crazy, and that's sort of this 666 energy. It seems a little crazy to increase a carbon footprint, bringing around a higher global temperature than it does to just relax and let the world try and heal itself. The world can heal itself, but we're not giving it a chance because we're creating these paradoxes where we wish to have salmon protein to eat and consume, but it's at the cost of the natural world in order to provide it. The other thing I want to just point out that we're moving towards a slightly warmer part of the cosmos, and I don't know how that affects things. They're merely observations that I'm being drawn to bring our attention to. I'm not saying that I don't believe in global warming. I'm just saying there are so many factors, but the sense that I have is if we can just draw our energy into the notion of stopping abusing the natural world, the natural world can heal itself very, very quickly. So, Time Master, what would you like to say at the end, please, Pleiadians? There's a card. It's Temperance. What would you like to say at the end, please? So, we have the Temperance card. This is a card of shadow work. Oh, everything's becoming a card of shadow work. But this is the energy of shadow work as a transformation. She holds the dark, she holds the light. When you bring these two energies together, you get this moth transformation, and you temper all your emotions. And it's talking about the moon and the sun, obviously, but the fact that the moon moves continually around quite quick, dealing with, sorry, a card's just been knocked to the floor, dealing with emotions and the transforming of emotions, and how that's something which takes linear time. And then we have a new portal. This is like, if we all do the shadow work, then it's a domino effect globally. It's bringing us a key to the future, to rewrite the future. And it's coming at the very end with this wonderful page of emotions. And I really want to say that this is again luminous warrior and heart chakra frequency. But I had while I was uploading the first reading, there was an absolute sense of a connection with marine life, and how the marine life would like us to do a reading and explore what we're doing to the seas. So maybe that's part of, oh, that's what it is to do with. There, it was that at the very beginning when I said this connection to the water. So the frequency of water that's being changed is part of consciousness, divine feminine consciousness, and that's the Pleiadians are working on the divine feminine consciousness, our spiritual inheritance, and our need to work and chill into the natural world that's being transformed by the Orion frequency beings. So we're going to ask just for one mystical shaman card to end the reading. Why I say ask for one, we'll see what they give. So, oh, there you go. They shot two of them straight over there. So, Divine 9, Hunter. They are helping us to find our own power. The bear represents our power as we become this antennae, and it's followed by the tree of life. Look, this tree of life is now free of the 12 frequency. It's a new Yggdrasil tree. This is the M theory, the membrane of divine frequency is being raised to a higher frequency that empowers us. So that's the message from the Pleiadians. I think next is the Syrians. I'm not sure, can't remember. Anyway, I'll be doing that later today, hopefully. Wassail.